Hello, welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast. Another live reactionary transfer deadline. This chat podcast, basically. As you can see, I'm joined by James Rowe over in the Netherlands. How you doing, James?
Very well, thank you, Ryan. Great to be speaking again. Great to be on. And lightning does indeed strike twice with PSV 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw my reaction yesterday and why I did a stream for the draw, and I almost cried. I was like, not them again. I was like, anyone from that pot back then, because you had them last year. I wanted to, like you said, I've always said, someone different. And
Yes.
It's just like, again, 12 months on. I know there's a new quality to PSV in terms of no Van Nistelrooy. Certain players have left and incomes are coming in.
Yeah, it's a more mature PSV. It's a more mature PSV. It's a more dangerous PSV. And they've got a great manager in Peter Bos, who, in my opinion, is the best Dutch manager at the moment. Some might say Arne Slot due to final success, but I remember when Peter Bos was manager of Heracles Almelo, and he got them up into the Eredivisie, and they drew away in Amsterdam against Ajax, and you could tell even then that he was a great manager. But he's also done many roles within football, and he's a very, very intelligent man. So his stock will no doubt rise. But it's a very open group, Ryan. And people may shout and holler that we didn't reach and play the big boys and proclaim that it's an easy group. It's a very open group. And we've got to respect all opponents, because there are only 23 teams that have won the Champions League, and we're not one of them. And we've had so many bites of the cherry that this is the last chance, because next season it goes to a league format, literally. And so the dynamic will change. I don't think people realise how much of dynamic is going to change. Whereas this is the traditional Champions League that obviously was rebranded in 1993, but started out in 1956. And this tournament is full of nearly men. Rams, Dundee, Tottenham, Hibernian, all reaching the latter stages, but not to win it. We also didn't win it. So we've got to take this last opportunity. And wouldn't it be typical Arsenal, right at the last knock-ins, to win it this season at Wembley in our own backyard, in our own area of London? I don't think we will, but we've got to be positive. I think we'll get through this group. I think we'll finish second behind Sevilla. But we've got to respect every opponent. You know, all opponents have got some great players. And I'm hopeful that I'll be at the home game against Lens. I will keep you posted. I just checked before I went live with your good self, and the fixtures are still not released. According to UEFA, they'll be released by the latest of Saturday morning. So I'm hoping they're released soon, so I can make my plans for Lens.
Yeah, I was about to say that literally the thing was because of the way they've done the group stage this year instead of Champions League last night, and then they've done the Europa League itself and the Europa Conference as well today. They're doing it all in one hit. They're doing all the fixtures out, and then they'll be out hopefully tomorrow. As I say, hopefully tomorrow. So then we'll know if our first game back after 7 years is home or away, who is against, and this, that, and the other, and all that malarkey.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. As I say, I'm hopeful for Lens. I was in Eindhoven last October, and we lost, unfortunately. But I've been very fortunate to see PSV in their own stadium, in the Philips Stadion, and also at Highbury when we drew 0-0. I remember being in the West Stand and looking over to the away fans who had snuck in a Spurs flag and started to wave it with loads of passion, and then also seeing Arsenal Sevilla at the Emirates as well. So I've been very fortunate with European games at Highbury and also at the Emirates. So the teams that I've seen play before, I want to give my fellow Gooner a chance. I want my fellow Gooner to experience what I did. So that's why I'm only targeting Lens at home, and I'll be keeping my fingers crossed.
Well, also, before I put an entire drop on the screen, Lens is the only one, obviously, they're from pot 4. They finished second in league on last year. Only just missed out the last day of the season to the league got to PSG.
Yeah.
This is their first appearance.
Yeah.
Or not. For anyone that doesn't know this,
25 years. My goodness.
Yeah, when the year we was at Wembley for the Champions League, that was their last time, and they've not been anywhere near since.
Yeah,
so it's nuance. It's something fresh about it as well.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I got a pull for that game in terms of I'll try. Obviously, we'll put ourselves into a ballot. We hope for, and hopefully we'll get it from that.
Let's hope so.
But obviously, we've had that experience before in terms of the PSV over the years, Champions League before we've dropped out, and then Europa League respectively. Especially, as I say, PSV is so recent as well. If it had been like 4 or 5 years later, sort of thing, then you could go, you know what, it's a completely new setup there and here.
Yeah.
Let's see where the teams are at nowadays.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like you say, just let someone else that hasn't had that experience have that experience home and away.
No, for me, it's something which has become very important. I mean, I used to prioritise European games. We've met up at a fair few. We met up at Bodo Glimt. We met up in the past at a couple of others as well, you know, and that's also great fun. And the memories are the most important thing. I mean, I have my programme collection as the focal point of my front room, all in my programme binders. And I had a mate of mine come to visit me recently, and he said, James, that must be worth thousands. I said, yeah, but it's not about money, it's about sentiment. I said, it's the sentiment of my mother letting me go to Villa Park as an 18-year-old. It's the sentiment of my mother letting me come to Amsterdam for Ajax Arsenal in 2003 as a 19-year-old. And the European nights at Highbury against Auxerre and PSV and Dortmund and Valencia and Roma, Ajax, and the games at the Emirates against Olympiacos, Bayern Munich, Monaco, Sporting Lisbon, Eintracht Frankfurt. You know, I've been so lucky, but I also understand that, and you want to give back to your fellow Gooner, and you want them to have those experiences. You want them to have those memories, because we are all one. And what we've got to do this season, this is the last chance we've got to win this competition proper before it gets changed into something.
That's as we mentioned before, it's Super League in everything but name, basically.
Exactly. I can't stress enough how the dynamic will change. You know, next season you will play 8 opponents, 4 at home, 4 away. So you might think, we've got. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. A team that I don't think we've ever faced, Leipzig. You might say, we've got Leipzig. I really hope we play them at home, and then we play them away. So your chance of seeing Leipzig at home in competitive nature against Arsenal, I know we play them away from home. You know, it's very, very, very strange. And as I say, there are only 23 teams that have won this competition. We're not one of them. So let's just hope that this last chance saloon that we go through. And as I say, I expect us to reach the last 16, and then anything can happen. But we've got to look to get through this group, and we've got to I just want us to try, just go full pelt, just go for it.
Well, this is the draw itself, the entire draw, not just us as well. So you've got Group A, Bayern Munich, Man United, Copenhagen, Galatasaray. I mean, you could argue, again, I mentioned this yesterday, Galatasaray, again, going from our experience, before we dropped out of this competition years ago, Galatasaray away isn't a nice place to go. It is very hostile. The fans will be up for it, and the players feed off that. They brought some decent players in the summers. I think Zaha's gone there as well, I believe.
Yes, Mauro Icardi as well.
Icardi's gone there, yeah.
They've got some good players, a good manager as well, who played in that famous team of 2000 that beat us. They came through the qualifiers. Remains a massive football club. Massive, huge football club, and but this is tournament football, and it will be proved once again, Ryan. I mean, the semi-final lineup for last season: Manchester City, Real Madrid, and the Milan derby. I don't think when the draw was made last season that people would have anticipated those being the semi-finals. So it just goes to show you never know. And we've had chances through the years. I remember 2004 getting beaten in quarterfinal by Chelsea. I remember 2006. I remember 2009 when we reached the semi-finals. And this is just the last hurrah, if you like. And all I want to see, I want to see us take every game seriously. I want the attitude to be bang on point, and I want us to really try. And if that's all I ask for, you know, and if it ends up with us lifting the trophy in our own at Wembley, then I think that would be schoolboys and stuff, wouldn't it? It would be wonderful. I'd sign for that now, but you know, we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I suggest if Mikel Arteta's first, obviously we go into this our first time in 7 years, go into it. Arteta's first attempt as a manager doing this. If we get anywhere near the final, let alone win it, give him the keys. If we get to the final and we win this, I was in terms of this season, give him the keys to Islington for life. Like, he would have done something that no other managers, for obviously Arsene Wenger, 20 odd, how many goes at it basically.
And also, a lot of people forget, Ryan, as well. 1971, you know,
so
one of the best teams we've ever had, beaten by the famous Ajax side.
Yeah,
beaten by the famous Ajax side of those wonderful names that went on to win the trophy. You know, against Panathinaikos in the final. We played them in the quarterfinal, and we were unlucky, I would say. You know how different it might have been if we'd got through that quarterfinal. But it's not just about the modern era. We also that 71 side that I maintain one of the best we've ever had. They also came quite close, and they were a little bit unlucky to face the best of the best in Ajax, and one of the best they've ever had. I mean, I remember being at Ajax Panathinaikos in the Europa League a fair few years ago now, and because that Ajax Panathinaikos was the final of that year, and they were drawn again in competition, in European competition together. They had like a commemoration where they were speaking to old players, and I'm thinking, you know, you beat Arsenal along the way. So we must. I know I love to talk about the modern era, with this being the last Champions League in proper, but don't forget about the 71 side that were unlucky, I think, and it could have all been so different.
Yeah, definitely. And as I was saying, obviously, with Galatasaray, going back to Group A, Galatasaray, that away fixture for Man United is going to be key for second spot. I think it's between Galatasaray and United for second. Mine, Harry Kane or without Harry Kane? With Harry Kane, we know they're going to pretty much walk that group.
I think they'll win by.
You there?
I think they'll win the entire thing, Ryan. When you've got a spine.
Yeah, I said this back
when you've got a spine of.
Sorry, I said this a few weeks ago. I was on Burke up Monday and Danny doing like predictions and all that. He asked me on Champions League when I said this is before the whole Harry Kane led. It's like 2 weeks before Harry Kane went to Bayern, and I based it on the fact that I believed Harry Kane was going there. I said, well, the fact that I'm basing this whole prediction stuff on terms of Harry Kane being out of the door, Tottenham going to Bayern Munich, he will be. He's the ideal replacement for them for Lewandowski. They haven't had an out striker since Robert left. He's going to come in and provide that focal point, which he's already done. And I know it's Bundesliga is not the elite week in week out competitiveness that we've seen in the Premier League, but he's the focal point. He will score the goals. He'll set up some goals as well. He's just that piece that they need in terms of Champions League wise, especially. We've watched him for the last couple of years struggle in the final third, where they've got that vocal of Harry. I think that's going to be it. I think I said it before, and I stick by it. I think Bayern are my favourites as well. I'll be shocked if they don't get to the final. Put it that way. Wars and all that will obviously contemplate along the way, and their formal injuries. But as we speak at this moment in time, you can't really see past it. And I know Man City are the defending champions, but Man City can get complacent. We've seen it in years gone by. They can get very complacent, make a mistake when they've got no De Bruyne. I know their group in particular is not a difficult group to get out of. You expect them to get through that without sweat, basically. But again, De Bruyne, when he comes back, is he going to need time to get back into fizzing in form like he needs to? And in between then, whatever injuries could come their way, we don't know. And even if they don't, they might get a bit too cocksure of themselves at a certain point of the season, make a few mistakes, and they'll get found out. They could get found out. We've seen it before. But as I say, personally, I can't see past Bayern at this moment in time.
I managed to back Bayern at 6-1. I think when you've got a spine of Manuel Neuer, Matthijs de Ligt, Konrad Laimer, who they signed from Leipzig, who's a brilliant footballer, and also Harry Kane, coupled with the creativity of Serge Gnabry and Leroy Sané, I think you've always got a chance to win a football match. And I think that Bayern will win it, but I think there'll be surprises as well. I think, as I say, it's tournament football, and in tournament football you always have surprises. And as I say, when I was watching the coverage on UEFA.com yesterday, and it was just very bittersweet, that we've had so many bites of the cherry and we haven't won it. And our city rivals, Chelsea, have won it twice. Man City have won it. Aston Villa have won it as well. They went from the third division to European champions within a decade, which is something which is somewhat underreported. Forest winning it back to back. Hamburg winning it as well in '83, having lost the final in '80. The tournament's always full of nearly men and what ifs. So I just hope that we don't look back on this
as a regret, basically. Yeah.
I hope the tournament doesn't pass us by. If we limp out of this tournament like we have done in previous editions, I will be so disappointed and so upset.
Yeah, I mean, there's a question here for Midri. It's a completely neutral one, no Arsenal relation to it. It's that can Newcastle make the last 16? And just to refresh people's memories, it's PSG. A PSG, I know they've got no Messi, they've got no name on it. It's Mbappe, but it's Mbappe for crying out loud. Borussia Dortmund, these are veterans of the Champions League, basically. And AC Milan. I mean, again with Milan, I know there's no San Siro this season, but still, these are seasoned pros of the European competition.
But they've won it. They've won it 7 times.
Yeah.
They've won it 7 times. Newcastle do have a chance. If you look at it factually, Luis Enrique is the manager of Paris Saint-Germain. They haven't started brilliantly, have they?
No.
Drew Lorience. Dortmund. I can't believe that the Dortmund manager is still in his job. If you are playing a championship game and you are playing at home to Mainz, who were priced 11-1 to win that game,
and the league title's in your hands on that day.
In your hands, and your 4 best players are on the bench, I'd have sacked you on the spot.
Yeah.
As soon as if I'd have seen that team sheet and I was the chairman, I'd be like, "You got 15 minutes to change this, otherwise I'm sacking you now." And I couldn't believe it. I can understand with the wariness of Bellingham, the potential transfer. I can understand that. And Jude Bellingham has made a wonderful start to life in La Liga. He'll go on to do as well as what McManaman did and Laurie Cunningham did. There's no doubt about that. But if I was him, I would be screwing that you leave Dortmund with just a German Cup when the Bundesliga was in the palm of your hand. I would be screwing.
Literally.
Because what better way to go to the biggest club in the world than to go with a German Bundesliga title and a German Cup?
Yeah. And as you say, as we've mentioned, it was in their hands. And I think the fact that it then led to their bitter rivals winning the title for an 11th time, or whatever, how many times it's been now in a row, you weren't able to break that duck yourself. You had it in your hands. All you had to do was turn up, do your jobs, win the game, play your best players, and do your job. And the fact that they didn't do that, and
exactly.
They say he's still in the job. I didn't know he's still in the job. I honestly didn't know that. And I'm like, if that was anyone else in any other league, like you say, that was Mikel Arteta, for example, on the last day last season, had it in his hand. We had it in our hands, and we lost to Wolves, and it meant Man City won the league, and then go on to win their treble. Got to be people, not only fans, but people upstairs will be thinking, well, "Hang on, what went wrong? It was in your hands. What you've done this, done that. You took out your best players for no reason. Bye-bye, basically. You got into the Champions League. You've got us to near the glory land, but there's something not right. We've backed you financially as well, on and off the pitch. We move on and find someone an upgrade on you. And again, Dortmund should have done that. With all due respect, I mean, he's pushed them. Don't get me wrong. They did push, like Union Berlin. We'll get into later as well. They did push, but end of the day, they threw it away.
I fully agree. I mean, Marco Reus.
They've got a gift bag. Thank you very much. There you go.
Yeah.
We don't really want it, really.
Yeah, but also I think he brought on Marco Reus in that game. He's a brilliant footballer. If it wasn't for his injuries, people would be talking about him in the same breath as De Bruyne. If it wasn't for his injuries, he's a gifted footballer, Marco Reus. Even from his time at Gladbach, a brilliant footballer.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be surprises in this Champions League, but I just hope that we acquit ourselves properly. I hate us to limp out, because I really do think, Brian.
I don't want to be part of the numbers, basically. Like you say, like yourself, I want us to compete. And if it means we win it, fantastic. If we don't win it, but we competed and we've given everything on the pitch every game, in the last 30 seconds, we can't then go, oh, well, they didn't try. At least we can say they've tried, they've left everything on the pitch, and we go again, but in a new format then. Yeah.
Well, let's just cross one bridge when we come to it. The most important thing is that we win a trophy this year. That is the most important thing. I will go on record and I will say, no trophy, no job. Simple as.
Yeah, I can understand that as well.
Yeah, Arteta can dress it up as much as he wants. The fact remains, he would have had 4 full seasons of massive investment to win with his own players. And when you saw the crocodile the tears of, I was thinking of resigning in the summer, I was at the City ground with my friend in the away end. And my friend said to me, and I quote, "James, we've not so much lost it as handed it to him on a plate."
Like Dortmund,
it was bang on. So I would say Arteta can dress it up as much as you want. But I would also include Edu in this. And I would say that if we don't win a trophy, I want both to go. And I would also love the Cronkies to finally think about what they're going to do. Because you can come back and say, oh, be excited. We did this, we did that. This is not the NFL. This is not the NHL. We are factually the 3rd biggest club in the country. There are 2 clubs bigger than what we are in Manchester United and Liverpool. We have won 47 trophies in our history, and we can't constitute barren spells. I don't expect Arsenal to be winning trebles every year, but what I do expect, I expect Arsenal to be in the hunt. I want us to be in the hunt to win trophies, to be reaching finals, to be having a shout. And the fact remains is that pressure's on this season with this level of investment. We've got to be in with a chance. So he's got 4 chances. He's got League Cup, Premier League. There's no order to this. League Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, Champions League. You get your hands on one, you stay in your job. You get your hands on none, there's your P45.
Yeah, I can totally understand that, because it would be a point. It comes to a point of, well, yes, you took us to a first title charge last year and all that, and then this year you've had massive. Again, we talked about this summer as well. Even more investment into the squad. We already had major investment in. Yes, we lost. I understand we lost Granit, so we had to replace him. We got Declan in. We somehow persuaded Partey to stay on for another year. I don't know, whatever. He's not going anywhere for the foreseeable. We'll get onto that whole situation in a second as well, in terms of where he's currently playing. And I'm trying to think now. And then so we brought in Declan, and that was that's massive investment, over the course of the payment structure, £105 million. And obviously, Julian Timber's coming. Again, no one could foresee what's going to happen on opening day. But personally, I said it at the time. At half time, I would have taken Timber off and not risked it.
Yeah.
No matter what the medical staff was saying or whatever, because apparently it was the medical staff that told him and gave him the 100%. Either 100% Timber's Julian's 100% fine. He can go out and play if he wants to. And
what did the player say?
Apparently, the player wanted to go on as well. He was like, he wanted to, but this is where Arteta's man management needs to come in and say, actually, this is the first game. Calm down. I know it's your debut.
Yeah.
I want to take you off. We'll reassess things at full time properly with knock.
Yeah.
And then we don't want to risk any injury because it could make it worse.
Exactly.
Within 5 minutes of that second half, I was at the game.
Yeah.
That ball's coming to him, and it doesn't even touch him, and his leg went.
Yeah.
And I knew straight away it weren't good. The fact he then got stretched up, he got carried off as well. And it seemed that, and the fact that whenever it's an ACL of Arsenal, it always delayed 2-3 days before they officially announce it.
Yeah, it's become like a perpetuation. You know, you make a great point. Ajax fans were they wasn't gutted that he left. You know, he's.
Yeah, you remember you telling me during the summer as well.
There wasn't, but he's got to improve. He's got to improve his heading ability. Is what he's got to do, and it's a massive jump from the Eredivisie to the Premier League, and as well, you know, you think of the closing of the transfer window today. I was on the website earlier. Nicolas Pepe hasn't got a shirt number. Now,
has he not?
No. What do you think it does?
19, obviously, yeah.
What do you think it does to his welfare and mental health? You know, this is people are chomping on the bit about deadline day. What about the welfare of players? Not every player is rich, and not every there's not a pot of gold at the end of every transfer window. I've spoken to more than 400 professional players and managers at all different levels, Ryan. When you are a young player and you go abroad, the club becomes your family. And if you're not helped, if you're not well received, things can go south very quickly. And to think as well, I think more than 6 billion has been spent by English clubs. You've got people using food banks. What message does it send? What message does it send? I mean, I don't know if you saw the quote about Balogun from Arteta today. Arteta was stated as saying the following: we could not find the space to give Balogun the minutes that he wanted. Nothing about the welfare of the player, nothing about the ability of the player. We could not find the space. Now, if you go back into history, Brian Clough, Sir Bobby Robson, Arsene Wenger, Alex Ferguson, you know, the best, Brian Clough, the best this country's ever produced, or Great Britain's ever produced. Do you think they'd be talking in those terms?
No.
Brian
Clough definitely wouldn't.
It's like perpetuation. I mean, I saw that Arsenal have released a European training range.
This morning, yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, I haven't brought any merchandise for 15 seasons. For me, a match day program and a match day ticket is enough for me. But even your match day ticket goes into cyberspace now with your QR code.
Well, it's not even that anymore. It's now because of this new format of a ballot system. It's now just turn up, scan your phone, and in you go if you can get in.
Yeah, well, you think of the times we met up, like a couple that spring to mind. We met up at Bodo Glimt before the game and had a right laugh. When we beat Nottingham Forest 5-0 last season, we walked all the way from the Emirates Stadium getting the tube to go home together, and we had a right laugh. And it's memories like this. I remember the weather for Forest wasn't great. I think we got caught up in the rain at some point, but it don't matter. But
afterwards it's like pouring down. It's undercover.
But it's things like this. It's our memories, isn't it? I mean, you've got to have the memories like that. I mean, I sincerely hope we meet up at Lens. That would be fantastic. And I'm hopeful of Luton at home, which is next April, which is a long way off. But we'll see how that goes. But as I say, as I'm getting older, this is my 35th season as an Arsenal fan. It's the memories that are the most important thing. Because I maintain, you imagine being a young 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, and trying to do it now. You got no chance. I remember being 19. And the 2002-2003 season, we had 12 European games. I was at 7 of them, all 6 at Highbury, and the one here in Amsterdam, which changed my life. Yeah. And my wages weren't like proper massive wages, and I was paying a decent amount of board to my mother, but I managed to sacrifice and I managed to do it. But thankfully, those memories are completely priceless.
No, yeah, exactly. And as you say, nowadays, if an 18, 19-year-old, unless they're born into wealth with all due respect, someone of our background won't be able to do that now because the ticket prices through the roof. Travelling as well is not exactly cheap anymore like it was back then.
Exactly. That season, by the way, Brian, just to reiterate, I was going to Champions League games at £30 a pop.
Yeah.
So I paid 30. Paid 30 for Auxerre, 30 for PSV, 30 for Dortmund, 30 for Ajax, 30 for Roma, and 30 for Valencia.
Yeah.
And obviously now, Champions League, I expect to be paying at least 60 for Lawns. I expect.
It's going to be but Sevilla because they're the Europa League champions as well. They're from the Champions part. That'll be the most expensive of the three as well, in terms of price. And they'll use the Europa League champions as a bargaining chip to the fans. Well, the Europa League champions want to come and see us. What pay them? Here's the price, basically, of a snake.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. As I say, I was in Eindhoven last October. PSV at Highbury when we drew 0-0. As I say, like you say, unless you're born to a well-to-do family, but different times. But I was also sacrificed a lot. I was literally at home most weekends, and I didn't go to many domestic games, but it was just. I'm sure I've been on this channel for quite a long time. I'll tell you a little story. This will make you laugh. And I've been living abroad now for nigh on 2 decades. But before I moved to Amsterdam, I was quite serious about moving to Canada, and I'd saved a lot of money as a young 18-year-old, and I was going to be sponsored. And what I'm about to tell you is a true story, absolute true story. I woke. There was one night I went to bed and I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning and I couldn't sleep. And I was 18, and what was going through my head was, hang on a minute, James, if something happens to you, you ain't done nothing. So I woke up the following in life, in terms of experience, things like that. I'd have gigs and stuff, but, just the normal things. And I spoke to my mum the following day and I said, I've got to have a chat with you. She said, what? I said, I don't think I'll go. I said, I want to start going to football again. I want to start living again. And I spent all that money that I'd saved on football. But thank goodness, because before
it's giving you the memories that obviously changed a lot long term.
Thank goodness, because before I come here, my early years here when I didn't go to Arsenal, my first 5 years in Amsterdam, I didn't go to Arsenal. And if you'd have met me, on a Saturday morning, you'd think, what's up with you? I mean, I was proud as punch to be living here, proud as punch. But part of me was thinking, I'd love to be there today. So, but this is what I mean about the memories and games from Amsterdam as well. So we just, I'm fully aware that won't last forever. So it's just about taking your chances when they come and also giving back to your fellow fan. And, was fortunate with a couple of away days through the years as well, which is an awful lot of fun. But even now, like we're not that, we're not that difference in terms of age. There's not a massive gap. But even the home games, they used to be so much more raucous. I mean, I remember being at the Emirates when Van Persie's about to take the penalties, but it's 3-0 up against Milan. And the guy behind me is literally shouting, "Oh, please, come on, oh, please, yeah!" And as well, like with the European nights, Napoli as well. They looked like menacing. They looked menacing, And I was in block 116 for that game. And as I say, I love to sit next to the away fans, but when certain fans have got a bit of a rep, I draw the line. I remember Bayern Munich when they won the treble in 2013.
Yeah, played us. Yeah,
the best football team I've ever seen play live. That team is the best team I've ever seen play live. And Philip Lahm in particular was brilliant. And then I was sitting next to the away end, and the final whistle's gone, and I've leant over, and the stewards looked at me as if to say, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm congratulating them on their win." And the guy, I mean, I can't speak German, and it's very similar to Dutch, but then again not. But the Bayern Munich fan, he was really happy. He was like, "Oh, thank you so much." I said, "I hope you go on to win it now." I said, "You're just far too good for us." And like with the Monaco game as well.
Yeah.
You talk about the price of the fixtures. I kid you not, right?
Yeah.
When Carrasco scored that goal, there was me and another guy. There were the two of us at the front of block 24. The rest had scarpered. So you can see on the TV footage going into so many red seats of people that had just left. Obviously, coming from Amsterdam like I did and like I do, I ain't leaving till the final whistle's gone.
Yeah, no, exactly. And there's people mentioning the Balogun situation. I'm just going to touch on this quickly because obviously Ridley's saying the fee we receive for Balogun is a joke. By the way, we still set support. People need to remember this is we paid nothing for Balogun. He's a product of our academy. So whatever we make from him is a profit. And it's £37.8 million up to rising to 40 million add-ons, and an 18% release clause put in as well.
Yeah, 17.5 is what I read.
That's around about that, yeah. But one of the two. I mean, again, for a player that came from our academy, we didn't invest in terms of had to bring him in from somewhere else. He's come from up the rankings based from our academy. That's whatever we would have made was a profit. And again, end of the day, he did it, but what Arteta said earlier, doesn't bode well. But also, Balogun had his part of playing this summer as well with these little social media posts of him just as Captain America with his transfer market value currently at the time and all that.
I didn't see any
either.
I didn't see any of that because I don't have Twitter. But again,
no, it was on Instagram.
Is that completely necessary?
It was on his Instagram. It literally was after we played MLS All Stars. Was it just before? Or just before? It was the day after. It was the day. It was after we'd done that pre-tournament thing. Havertz had a nightmare and all that before we played the MLS All Stars properly. And so people in the group chats. I mean, there's you've seen what Balogun's done? He's on his way out. And I'm like, no, what? On his Instagram stories or whatever you want to call it nowadays. He's basically he's paid someone to knock up an image of him dressed up as Captain America, the costume, and of his transfer market value at the time of £30 million. And it was almost saying like, "Come get me, come get me." And then
very strange.
And then since then, we've not seen him get any minutes, do any training videos, this, that, and the other. And even when he did an interview, I think it was Sophie and a few others, Sophie from Hybrid School, who's doing work over there when they're doing the tour, and a few others, and that you're seeing clips come out and he's basically saying, yeah, there's nothing, the negotiations, I don't know what's going, I don't know what, this guy's 20, 21 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I'm leaving that to my agent and my parents.
Oh, so what about taking responsibility? What about taking responsibility yourself?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just sitting there thinking, when I heard that, the first time I heard that, I was thinking, he ain't got the minerals in terms of maturity wise. The minerals aren't there.
That could still come. That could still come
down the line, yeah, obviously. But at this moment in time,
yeah, it's
not there. And I can understand why there's been whatever's gone on behind the scenes with him and the managers, because it's all well and good. Let's not get it wrong. He had a fantastic season with out in League On with over 20 goals in the season, record breaking and all that for a player of his age, and etc. etc. But to then come back, with all due respect, to where the club he was at, it's not an Arsenal. It's not a Champions League / Europa League level club. With all due respect to them, in whatever way you want to look at it, it's not an Arsenal. Put it that way. It's not a Newcastle. It's not a Man City. It's not an elite. What a club you. Yeah, that's the same level as where you're coming from. Basically, it's not that sort of club. He's come back and gone, I must be starting 11. I must be your starting man ahead of Jesus and Eddie Nketiah, who, by the way, Eddie, who's again one of our youth products, we go back to the documentary. We see it in that clip when he's having a go at Sambila Congo back into the season saying, why aren't you happy? He's saying his appointment up. I was playing to start the season. He's like, you're having a laugh. I've been here longer than you. I'm getting less. I've not had many minutes either, but I'm here. I'm grafting. And he's kept on grafting since then, to the point where he's obviously got England called up yesterday. He's started a season where he scored 2 goals in 3 games, won a penalty as well in the second game, basically got an assist. He's basically shown hard work. If you knuckle down, prove your worth to your manager, you will reap the reward. Whereas it seems like Balogun just wanted the fast track. I've done what I've done. I proved myself elsewhere. I don't need to prove myself to you now in person. Give me my chance. Give me my first team spot, basically.
But what they have to remember, Ryan, is you can't plan a career.
No.
You can have dreams and ambitions, but you can't plan a career. I mean, you look at Mbappe. His mother was the one that put the mockers on the Madrid move. Now, I love my mother, but if Real Madrid come in for me, my mother ain't stopping me. But again, it's the arrogance of Mbappe to think, oh, they'll come back for me. They won't.
No, they'll move on.
They'll move on, and he will be. I mean, I remember years ago, I was working for WH Smith in a distribution centre, and I think his name was Albert, and we used to talk about football all the time. He was a really, really nice fellow. And there was a famous quote he said that stuck with me, and this is all 23 years ago now. I remember him saying to me, it was like a group of young boys chatting about football, and his opinion was also of worth. And I remember him telling us, he said, boys, there will come a day where a player will price himself out of the game. And look what's happening now.
Yeah.
And this is 23 years ago, he said that. I'm 99% certain his name was Albert. If I get his name wrong, maybe he's watching tonight, I don't know. But I think not I was famous back then, because I certainly wasn't. But if he is watching, he knows who he is, because I was like, it's always important whenever you speak to people, Ryan, at all different levels, football writers, fellow fans, one thing I've always loved to do, and I still do it, if a quote comes from somebody else, it's not mine. So I will always say who it's from and then pass it on, like in that quote, and it's just very much a sign of the times. But I mean, I was looking at the Europa League draw tonight as well. Today, Brighton have got Marseille, Ajax, and Athens. They were playing Hereford in 1997.
Yeah, no ground either.
But I must be honest, Ajax and Marseille, they are pale shadows of what they are and what they once were. I mean, Ajax lost at home to Ludogorets last night here in Amsterdam. And I've interviewed their manager, Maurice Stein, 6 years ago when he was Faithful Venlo manager. He's a competent football manager. It's always about giving young players an opportunity. And if they give Maurice Stein time, because they were also booed last night, he will do a good job for them. But Mislintat, Dutch media have also been saying, you're turning Ajax into a buying club. And because he's got no command of Dutch, of course, he's fobbing them off. And it's just, Ajax have signed 11 players. And Maurice Stein is saying, the main language in the changing room is Dutch, and that foreign players learn the football terminology quite quickly. But among themselves, I think they'll be speaking English. So it'll be really, really interesting to see what happens, because Peter Bosz was also linked with a move back to Ajax. But you can't, as I say, for managers as well, you can't plan a career. You can have dreams and ambitions, but you can't plan a career. I mean, I first came here to watch Ajax play against Arsenal in 2003, when they reached the quarterfinals of the Champions League, when you had 2 group phases. That Ajax team, Steven Pienaar, Van der Vaart, Van der Meijden, Galasek, Ibrahimovic, Christian Kivu. There was a documentary made about it called Rock and Roll Football, and it literally was rock and roll football. Also had Nigel de Jong, and they were so unlucky not to reach the semi-finals even. It's just amazing. And you see how the clubs are changing and the commercialism of it all. It's just absolutely unreal. I saw a great quote on Have Your Say on BBC the other day, where one guy wrote, and I think he's got a point. He said that it's turning into like WWE and WWF, where things are arranged beforehand, agreements are made, and it's as if they're trying to extract specific talking points at specific games. And I think I read that and I thought he might be onto something there, because you think of us growing up with the memories we've got of Arsenal when you used to buy the shirt and it used to be stitched, and you used to pay £40 for the shirt, but it used to be proper pucker. Used to be proper. You'd put it in the wash 1,000 times and it would never go, never go runny or anything. I mean, I remember getting the Champions League badge on the Navy kit when we had Dreamcast, and I remember I think it was before the game against Schalke in September 2001, where we won 3-2, if memory serves. It was in the North Bank, and I remember feeling $1 million getting. I had the Dreamcast shirt. I remember getting my first Champions League patch on the arm, and Pires on the back. And this will make you laugh. I think I was 18 at the time, and I thought you got 2 patches. So when the guy's done my shirt, I've gone, "Where's the other one?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You're supposed to get 2 in here." He said, "No, you only get it on the left arm."
The players came out. They both had one on each arm, didn't they?
Yeah, well, I thought you had the emblem on both sleeves, but you only had it on the left sleeve. But I remember saying to the guy who was printing it at Finsbury Park, I said, when he done it for me, I said, "Oh, that looks great. Where's the other one?" He said, "No, you only get one." I was like, "Okay." But I remember being like, a bit hoi polloi, saying, "Surely there's 2 of them." No, there's only 1 of them. But this is what I mean about the memories, Ryan. At least we've got these memories. And that is the most important thing. Because as you say, in this day and age, you imagine trying to do that now. And also, I know that generations changed. I know that society has changed. But in our day, and we're not that old, but in our day, if you were off, if you said something completely inappropriate, and I'm not talking about songs. I'm not talking about comments that obviously need to be spoken about. I'm talking about just general understanding of the game. If you was in the clock end or the North Bank or the East Stand or the West Stand and you said something that wasn't right in relation to Arsenal Football Club or the players, or for example, "I can't believe he's done that," or "I can't believe he's done this," fellow fans would say, "Well, hang on a second, this, and this." And you'd go away, you'd be educated.
Yeah.
And that don't happen no more. That don't happen no more. It's like a free reign of, I'm an influencer, I can say whatever I like. And I'm thinking, but you've never sat down with a professional footballer. So you don't know what's going on, dear. You've never sat eye in eye for 20 minutes with a professional footballer, and you certainly haven't interviewed him in a foreign language, have you? So again, it's very much the sign of the times in that respect.
No, there's a certain person everyone knows on this channel. Me, that person don't get on, in terms of he threw a channel, he got put on a platform, he threw it under the bus, disappeared for a year, came back, something didn't go right, he left them again. He's run off to Spain nowadays. And he acts and goes about like he's the high and mighty. His word is gospel. And I'm just like you say, what makes you the almighty Arsenal supporter? Everything you say is gospel. Anything else anyone else says, they don't know nothing, and this, that, and the other, or their football knowledge is in the mud and things like that. I mean, everyone has an opinion. If everyone had the same opinion as this in general, life would be fucking boring.
Of course.
And again, all these channels, in terms of from an Arsenal perspective, all these Arsenal channels, if we were to say, if we came live or did recordings and we put it out of this, they're saying the same thing over and over again, like everyone else did, there wouldn't be, and you'd be like, well, I'll choose that one because it's whatever, but all the others, they're saying the same thing, so but I'll choose this one instead. You wouldn't have that same traction of saying that. It is frustrating with some people. They have this mindset of, well, look at me, I've got 20,000 subs, I'm the almighty, I'm the omega, and I'm just like, behave yourself, rein yourself in, Go back to this is a guy, by the way, he's around our age, but acts like he's a younger man or person, acting like he doesn't know certain things he says. He's like he doesn't know how football works nowadays. Like he hasn't got with the times. He's acting like football is what it was 20 odd years ago. Football moved on from 20 years ago. Chelsea have come to the helm. Man City have come to the helm. Newcastle now at the helm and going to get stronger. And everyone's saying about Man City nowadays. Newcastle, when they hit, it's going to be tenfold because they can outdo Man City.
I think, but you can't. I'm not being funny, and I've been to Newcastle.
No, I'm not going to Newcastle, but I'm just saying football's moved on where there's financial firepower now, where clubs like Newcastle were in the dire under Mike Ashley, have got the power they've got now, and they can financially outmuscle someone like Man City, who's run by a country themselves.
But also with that, Ryan, you can't buy success. You can try, but like in the case of obviously heavy investment with Man City, with Chelsea, with Newcastle, eventually, if you pump enough money in, you'll do it, and that's been shown by City. Eventually, if you pump enough money in, you'll win it. But also, the fact remains is that the game itself, like today, the transfer deadline day, my thoughts today are with the players who get marginalised, with the players who you see the other side of the coin, because I've spoken to them about this at length, and you've got so much choice these days with different channels. And I mean, I don't have a YouTube presence. People can only find me on your channel speaking about European football with Arsenal, and also Cannon Fodder. They're the only two I do. I mean, you get lots of offers, but again, there's only 24 hours in a day. And in the words of the famous Ramones, people have lives to lead. So much choice and that kind of thing. So we just see how it goes. But it's been a pleasure to speak tonight. I've really enjoyed it, and thanks for your flexibility. I'm sorry I couldn't join you yesterday.
No, that's absolutely fine. It is what it is. Life, as I say, life gets in the way. It is what we move.
Yeah, well, as I say, I had a few errands to run. I shall leave every gooner with one final thought. We were touching on YouTubers and channels and all that kind of stuff. The fact remains, we've got one final chance of winning the Champions League. So let's all come together and let's try to win the bloody thing. Don't get bothered about the in the know exclusive. Don't get bothered about the 1.5 minute interview with a club legend, because it's not really an interview, is it? You got 20 minutes of a proper interview of depth, and then But obviously, it's very much the sign of the times. But let's come together. Let's try to win the thing. And let's have a big party on the 1st of June in 2024 at Wembley, which will last for days and weeks. I don't think we'll want to go home.
No, definitely won't. I'll literally just be the entire from the second whistle goes all the way through June, July until August.
Yeah,
so
it'll just be searching all your mates out at Wembley, wouldn't it? It'll just be searching one after the other. But I really hope we see each other at Lens. I'll keep you posted, pal. Fingers crossed we're both successful in the ballot, and keep up the good work. And I look forward to speaking soon.
No problem, mate. And with that, we are going to wrap things up. Obviously, the audio for this will be up in the next half hour or so on all audio platforms, including Spotify. So keep an eye out for that. If you came in late, want to listen to it back on the go. Aside from that, I will be back tomorrow night on the channel for the match of the day stuff. Even though Arsenal aren't playing until Sunday, obviously want to keep an eye on Man City against Fulham and all the other games that are taking part tomorrow as well. And looking back on obviously tonight's game will be between Luton and West Ham.
Yeah.
I fear for Luton, I honestly do. Even with deadline day transfers, I do fear for them this season, from what I've seen in the first few games. But obviously things might change. We never know. Aside from obviously, so match of the day tomorrow, 10:20 UK time, and then the main event on Sunday, Arsenal versus Man United, 4 o'clock. We'll go live. Give everyone half hour to come in, settle down, go for the teams. Have a panic that Partey's at right back still for some bizarre reason, and then we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we get the 3 points and we move on into the international break and see what Eddie can do for England if Southgate gives him a chance.
Well, honestly, Maguire hasn't played a minute and he still picks him.
Henderson's dropped all his morals, by the way. Run off to Saudi Arabia for a payday after being, again, under Southgate, the most woke international team currently since Southgate's come along in terms of what they stand for, what they stand for, and this, that, and the other. Henderson's completely gone against everything he's put himself out there for, put himself on the shelf for all these years for money. No. He's still got a chance for England duties. First opportunities in the England squad.
But it just proves, Ryan, that they are part of his inner circle.
Yeah.
That's what it proves. It proves that they are part of his inner circle. And
for like 18 months, he's got favoured. No, of course he hasn't. Well, yeah, because Maguire hasn't played a single minute. He's still in the squad.
How can you, if he's not played a single minute, how can you pick him? And Maguire gets an awful lot of stick, but people forget one thing: he can take a great penalty.
So he's not penalty shootouts in qualifiers, though.
Exactly. But as I say, Maguire gets a lot of stick, but I will. Excuse the pun. I will stick up for him in the respect that I think Harry Maguire is a great penalty taker, and that's something. But I'm sure we'll speak very soon and maybe have a quick preview on PSV as well. I don't know if we can do a live feed like last time. Maybe we can do like we did last time.
Yeah, we could do.
I logged in during half time with the Dutch coverage on from my front room. So maybe we can do the same. But I hope to see you at Lons when the fixtures are released.
But once we get the fixtures out and they come back tomorrow, we'll have a chat over the weekend and we'll start figuring it all out for after the international break. Yeah.
Great stuff. Look forward to it. Enjoy the day on Sunday. And what's your prediction for Sunday?
They're there for this again. For us to win this on Sunday, I think we can win this, but we need to get it right. We need to go back back to basics in terms of Ben White right back, Gabriel back in the defence alongside Saliba. If Zinchenko's available, if he's fully fit, get him in. If not, got Jakob Kiwa, put Partey back alongside Declan in that midfield alongside Odegaard. And the front three speaks for itself in terms of form. Eddie down the middle because he's in form. Jesus we haven't seen much of. He's just come back, so I wouldn't risk it too early. Jesus on the bench. Saka down the right, Martinelli down the middle, and I think we could. They're there, as I say, they're there for the taking. They've got no Varane, they've got no Luke Shaw. The replacement for Luke Shaw's only just been announced today, so he won't be playing on.
He's a good player. He is a very good player.
He is, but thankfully he's not. As I say, thankfully he's not available because obviously they didn't announce it in time.
Yeah, but he's
available for Sunday.
I wanted Arsenal to sign him. He's a very good player. If you play 230 games for Real Madrid, Sevilla, Atletico, and Tottenham, you must have something about you. And he's also a Europa League winner. I would have loved to have seen him at Arsenal. He's a great player. My prediction for Sunday is 2-2. Desmond.
I'm going. If we go for the the lineup I suggested in terms of back to basics, 3-1. I think we win this 3-1. But if we do the revert, if we stick to, if Arteta's arrogance gets the best of him and he wants to stick to this kind of Partey right back and all that malarkey, then I think we'll be lucky. We'll be probably will be a 2-2. It depends. They're my two predictions. If we go to my way of things, we win 3-1. If we don't, and he sticks to type currently, then it'll be probably a 2-2 draw. Which, hindsight, with Fulham playing Man City tomorrow, unless Fulham perform a miracle, we could be chasing Man City even more by Sunday.
Yeah, after only 4.
Which ain't ideal. Yeah.
No, but also as well with Partey at right back, what's he going to do when he's actually got to defend as a right back? What are you going to do then?
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me that at some point a winger is not going to have him on toast. So you may well put Partey at right back, but what are you going to do when Partey is going to have to defend as a right back? Because that will happen.
Well, exactly. Rumours have it that Højlund, the striker they brought in at Man United, he's available to start. So if he starts, that means Rashford's down the left. And what does he attack? Partey. Yeah. And again, this is with
his pace. With
with
his pace as well. I mean,
yeah.
Rashford had a great season last season, and I think he's starting to come good again. But Rashford as well, I can understand him being a champion of political endeavour, which is great. But first and foremost, you're a professional footballer.
Yeah.
First and foremost. So it just goes to show. But great to catch up, pal. Really enjoyed it, and look forward to speaking soon.
Yep. And for everyone else, as I say, we'll see you tomorrow. As always, up the Arsenal. Come on, you guys.
All the best. Take care.